Hi, Sharks. Happy Money Monday. It is Financial Sharktress Khalid Sadiq, and we're going to talk about one of my favorite rules. Um, and this is something that I hold to religiously. Any large purchases, I do not buy on the spot. I always give myself, at the very least, 24 hours before I make the purchase. So, if a deal is good today, it is still going to be good 24 hours from now. If it's not as good 24 hours from now, it means that it wasn't a great deal in the first place. So I stick by this, especially when you're buying something like a car. Those dealerships are going to tell you that you walk out, the deal is gone. Do not believe that. Because if they gave you that deal today, somebody else or they will give you that deal tomorrow. We get stuck in buy right now, right now, right now. There are so many ways that marketing puts pressure on us, right? They tell us that's it. It's, limited time offer, 1 day only. If it's a 1 day only and they don't want you to be able to think about it, chances are it was not a good deal to begin with. So, just in general, like 24 hours to make sure that it's a good deal. Than that, like, you also want to make sure that you actually want the item. And sometimes we see something in a supermarket or, well, not a supermarket, because usually you're buying stuff that you need there, but let's say at a mall. You go into a mall and you see something that you absolutely love. So if it is a large purchase, I recommend waiting, maybe even putting it on layaway or something like that so that you don't lose it, but really just giving yourself the time to think about it. Now, if it's a smaller item, what I do in a store or a mall is I will put it to the side. I will continue my shopping of whatever else I wanted to do. And if I am still thinking about that item at the end of my shopping trip, then I will go ahead and buy it. If I am not still thinking about this, then it was not going to bring me that amount of joy, right? Ryan, thank you so much. I love the glasses too. I got them as blue light glasses. Um, but like small purchases, like something like this on Amazon, I didn't give myself 24 hours because it was under $20. I knew that it was something that I needed. I knew it was something that would improve my life. But let's say, so we recently purchased a PS5. That was something that I gave myself over 24 hours to think about. I gave myself weeks to think about. And that's not even like the hugest purchase, right? But it was, how much additional enjoyment is this going to bring to my life? Because my husband came into the relationship with already a PS4. And so we have that. Um, and we have been playing video games with our friends in New York. And so it's a great time for me to be social, right? Because I don't always get that when I work virtually and I don't have in-office employees anymore. So really, it's just my husband and I at home most of the time, and I don't get a ton of time to be social. So I knew that it was something that was important to me, but I did not know if springing the extra, I think between the controllers and the charger and everything else, it was around like $650. I wanted to make sure that $650 would bring me the enjoyment that I wanted it to for that price. And so I gave myself a couple of weeks and realized, what is it with the PS4 that is bothering me? And we're playing Diablo 4. So if you're playing, you understand that having lag, and when you're playing with people that have a PS5, it's difficult. And I ultimately decided after weeks that that was something I was wanting to have and I was willing to have. And even then, I had made compromises with myself. Like, it's either I can get this thing or I can get this thing. And luckily for us, we had some extra cash that had come in and we made the decision to purchase. That is not always the case. And had we not have that extra cash come in, I would still not have the PS5. And that is coming from someone who has a pretty stable financial world set up, right? My situation is very stable and I can count on things. But even in my case, spending $500, $1,000 is a big deal to me. And I want it to always remain a big deal. I want to be able to walk away and then come back later. I want to be able to really think about that purchase and ask myself, is this something that is going to enhance my life in a significant way? Is this something that is bringing me closer to one of my goals? Or is this something that is going to take me further away from my goals? So Jenny says, when I walk away, I get so sidetracked, I usually at least 60% of the time forget about it. Yes. And if you forgot about it that quickly, then it was not that important to you. And that is money that you then saved, right? By not putting it into something that you did not need or was not important to you. So I want you to ask yourself a couple of questions when you are going to buy something. It's not just, can I afford this? But what is the opportunity cost here? So if I buy this, what will I not be able to have in its stead, right? So is that additional experiences? Is that a night out on a date with my partner? Is that a laptop I buy for my business that I'm running? There are so many things that if we just take a second to ask ourselves a few questions, we wouldn't buy in the end. And again, if that is something that you want to buy and you still 24 hours later, a week later, you are still thinking about it and you are still wanting it, then by all means, if you can afford it, buy it. And a really good rule of thumb is if you have the money in the bank account to cover it today, then you can afford it. And that's, when I say money in the bank account, that means all your bills are paid. Everybody has, everything else has been taken care of, and you still have that money in your bank account, then you can afford to buy it. So ask yourself that question. Ask yourself if you need it. Ask yourself if it's really that important to you and if it's going to bring you closer to a goal. If it is going to bring you closer to a goal, then sometimes even using credit to buy is okay, as long as you know that you can pay that off. And like a cool idea maybe is, if you don't have the money right now, but you have a card, or you can get a 0 interest rate credit card for an introductory period, and that could be 8 months, it could be to 21 months. That will allow you to pay that off within the amount of months without accruing interest. I do not want you to accrue interest on things that you cannot afford. If you will be able to pay it off within the amount of time without accruing any interest, and it brings you towards your goal, then maybe that's a smart decision. But if it is not bringing you to your goal, if you are accruing interest, if you are paying somebody else additional money in order to get something for yourself, then that's something you need to rethink a little bit. And the 24-hour rule, like that is the bare minimum for a big purchase. That also gives you time to talk to other people, to do research, right? Because just because it feels like a good deal right now, you might get home and realize you could get it somewhere else, or you have a friend that you know that is really good at negotiation that you can take with you and get a better price. But if you buy it on the spot, have any time to do any of that research. You don't have any of that time to get a better deal. You don't have the time to look at another vendor, to negotiate. You just don't have that time because you are stuck in, I'm going to lose it if I don't put the money down right now. If you're going to lose it, then it's not meant to be. And we just need to come to terms with that. Sometimes things are just not meant to be for us, and they're just not right for us. And if you lose it and it was not meant to be for you, then that's a good thing, because that opens up space for something that is meant for you to be in your life. So take the time. Don't get pressured. I will tell you that every single time I've bought a car, if there is any pressure, or every time that I've bought something big, if I feel pressure, I immediately shut down and I will not continue. I'll literally tell them, hey, I'm not the person that you want to address like that. I'm not going to be the person that walks out of here with this item if you pressure me. And you can do that. And it's totally fine. And we have to let go of this idea that we're not going to be nice if we do that. Somebody trying to get over on you is not being nice either. They might be talking nicely. That doesn't mean they're doing a nice thing. I would rather be open and blunt and honest and just, hey, don't pressure me because I'm just going to walk away, rather than be pressured and then be upset with myself later. Person who goes home after being pressured to spend money and feels like they got taken advantage of, that's the person that has to deal with that emotion, have to deal with it long term, right? If it's a huge purchase, that's a very long term commitment sometimes, especially if it's something big like a car or a boat or a house. I have seen people go into bidding wars and get completely pressured about losing a specific house and then hate themselves when they get into that house and realize, I can't afford this. I feel like I could have gotten such a better deal. I see this I like and it's within my price range, but now I'm stuck. Like, there are so many things that pressure will do to you, and that this regret and feeling horrible about it will take over your life, and sometimes for very long periods of time, right? Like, if you bought a house with a 30-year mortgage, that is a 30-year commitment to pay something. And if it wasn't quite what you wanted to pay and it felt a little uncomfortable, guess what? It's going to be uncomfortable for the next 30 years unless you do something drastic to get your income up. So don't let yourself get pressured. Be okay with walking away, and be okay with understanding that not everything that you want is going to be right for you. And that's fine. And if it is right for you, it will come to you. Even if it's not today, it'll be tomorrow or the next day or in a week. Irene, thank you. Irene said, absolutely correct as always. Yes. And Jenny said, so true. So That's my message for today's Money Monday. Please take this to heart. Please, anytime that you're looking to make a purchase, big purchases especially, I want you to think about it. And even with small purchases, I want you to at least give yourself a couple of minutes, right? If you're at a shopping mall, walk away from the item, even if it's a $50 item or a $30 item or a $20 item. But like, it's not something you absolutely need. And when I say need, I mean need, not want need. Um, Walk away from it, put it down. And if you are still thinking about it in a little bit, then maybe it's for you. But if you're not thinking about it at all, do not go back for it. There are things that I have had in malls or flea markets or vintage markets where I will just set it down and I will go through the rest of the market. And sometimes I'm still thinking about that item because I absolutely loved it. And in those cases, I go back for it. If it's not the case, if that's not what I am feeling, I am happy to leave that behind. And you know what? There have been times where I went back and that item had already been purchased. And that's fine too, because that means that that item was meant for someone else. It was not meant for me. And I'm meant to spend that money on something that's meant for just me and that's going to bring me to where I need to go. So that's my long thing for today. Have an incredible rest of your day and happy Money Monday to you all. And I will see you if you are following Galit Speaks. I have a podcast episode on Wednesday. And if not, if you're just tuning in for the Financial Sharktress Money Mondays, you know I'll be here next Monday. Have a great night, and I will see you then. Bye.